Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. We're talking about bouncing back from bad eating days. This is something you've got to get good at because you're going to have bad eating days. And it's not a problem, it's a part of the process. There's no avoiding it. You're not going to start on day one and be perfect all the way to reach your goal weight. That's never going to happen. So instead of assuming that's going to be the path you're going to take, instead start preparing for when you have bad eating days because you're going to have them. And yes, they're bad eating days. Yes, there are good and bad foods and good and bad eating days when you want to lose weight. Absolutely. So the first thing we want to understand is that they're going to happen. That's why I started with that. We've got to set our expectations properly because if you think you're going to be perfect, the second you have a bad eating day, it's going to be catastrophic and it's going to completely blow you off the track. So we need to realize that those are part of the process. Just like life, there's good and bad days in life. This is how it goes. And there's a good chance that after the first week or two, you're going to have a number of bad eating days. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying it to set you up for success. So the first thing is managing expectations, realizing they're going to happen. Now, the next piece becomes how do you respond to them? That's the key thing. Because what's happening to you typically in the past on a diet is once you have a bad eating day, you feel completely blown off the track and you can't get back on track. So understanding that being able to get back on track quickly from a bad eating day or a bad eating meal is, I believe, the most important skill of weight mastery. Because back to the first thing, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect with your eating. You may occasionally string together perfect week, month, occasionally, but more often than not, you're going to have these bad eating days. So they're part of the process. And when you realize that, and now you start thinking, how can I get back on track quickly when they happen? This is a question you have to answer. And so what I would suggest to you is that you start to have small ways to get yourself back on track. I think a big mistake people make, now again, this is within the dieting approach, is that you're doing this all or nothing thing. You're starting on day one, cutting 50% of your calories out, let's say. And then you have a bad eating day where you're eating more than you normally eat. And now you believe you have to get all the way back down to that 1,200 calories again, or no carbs. It's the drastic, okay? And so we want to have a plan A for sure. Maybe your plan A is no carbs, 1,200 calories. Whatever your plan A may be, let it be that. But start to prepare a plan B and a plan C because a lot of times what gets us off track is we're in a bad mood or we're tired or we're sick or, we're depressed, whatever. And so if you get depressed and you end up eating everything in sight one day, now the next day, there's a good chance you're going to be just as depressed, if not more so, because now you were depressed from the beginning thing and now you've added all the eating on there on top of it. And so we have to understand that in that situation where you're depressed, as an example, you're not going to get back to 1,200 calories, no carbs. Okay. So what we need to do is have some gray space where we have a plan B or C where maybe, okay, I'm going to get back to 2,000 calories. I'm going to cut out most of the carbs. Do you see what I mean? And so we have a plan B and C so that we can at least have a way to get back somewhat on track. And I think the big mistake people make is they got this all or nothing mentality, which sounds great when you're doing all, but as soon as you hit a rough spot, it's very difficult to do that. But because you just got an all or nothing strategy, you do the nothing. And that nothing, as you know, can last months or years. Okay. So again, a lot of what's going to help you here, and this goes back to the first point, you need to zoom out and look at your past weight loss experiences, and you're going to start to notice patterns. Yes, you can do the extreme thing for a couple days or weeks, but then you get blown off course and you can't get yourself back on track. So this is what we're mainly dealing with. And so if you start to realize and reset your expectations of what you're really going to do, you start to realize that getting back on track is the most important thing. And then you start working on comfortable, realistic strategies that get you at least a little bit of the way on track. Now, if you just have an off day and you can get right back on track the next day perfectly, you go ahead and do that. But I'm telling you, a lot of times you're not going to be in a position to get yourself right back on track. And so start to have these little plan B, C things that are easier to get back on track, but at least it's sort of on the track. This is the key thing I'm saying, because what you're going to discover is that a lot of times it's this gray area when we're following a plan B or C that is where you spend a lot of your time. And it's a lot better to have a plan B and C than it is to have no plan at all. And this is really a missing piece for so many people's weight loss strategy. And once you start to think about this, it gets a lot better. And I will tell you the fourth step, just as a bonus step, is to look at what happened, what triggered the bad eating day. Usually it's excessive hunger, bad mood, tired, things like this. But start to notice what are the things. So if you have the bad eating day that night, reflect what was going on there, what happened, and see if you can put 2 and 2 together and figure out what triggered that, because that will help you in the future as well to come up with better strategies that are custom made for you. So I hope this helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. And move the old cameras around. The old camera moving trick. There we go. I was thinking today I might try another camera setup because my Instagram people have to look at a tiny little picture. But we'll see. Let's see. Where are we? What is today? Today it feels like Tuesday to me, but that's because I was gone. And now it's actually Thursday, which is wonderful. That's wonderful to realize that. So anyway, I think it's not that I want the weeks to go by quick. I love my weeks, but I'm looking forward to the weekend this week. I can tell you that. Sometimes you need a vacation from your vacation to recover from vacations. Yeah. What's up, Erica? All or something has changed my life. Yeah. All or something is profound, right? It really is. All or something is the secret to mastering your weight. No doubt about it. And with weight loss, of course, you've been conditioned this no pain, no gain, all or nothing. Do you really want it mentality, all this stuff. But it's a pretty shitty strategy, in my opinion. If you don't believe me, just look at the results. I never get anyone arguing. I find this odd. This camera's crooked. Oh, I see. I never get anyone arguing me that diets are good. You don't ever find that interesting, folks? Those of you that are here every day. I do this every single weekday. I literally, not one time have I had people argue that keto is great, that Weight Watchers is great. Not one time, not even a single time. I've done over 300 podcasts, every one of them on these lives. Many of them are 2 hours long. Never once, not one single time have I had people tell me that any of the diets that we know about are great. That's the way to do it. That's fascinating to me. You do it. Let's argue. Let's argue. Let's debate it. And again, there's a lot of aspects about the diet that suck, but one of the biggest of all is the all or nothing mentality. That dieting mindset is so. I mean, the word may be toxic, but ineffective. It doesn't work, which is fine. I don't know, but that's not okay. Cool. But the problem I have, and literally, I swear a main reason I do this day in and day out is because it's bad enough that dieting doesn't work. I'm okay with that. But the problem is that there's people not blaming the diets, they're blaming themselves. You're probably sitting there blaming yourself that you can't follow a diet. That's where the problem starts, So it's like, at least get clear-headed that it's the diet that's the problem. It's not you. It's not your willpower. It's not that you're a bad person, that you're a carb addict, whatever else. It's that you have not learned how to master your weight. And it's because you have learned to be a dieter. And dieters don't live at their goal weights. Dieters struggle with their weight forever, He does diet sound like die to me. Yeah, am I saying, does it sound like die instead? It says it right in the word, right? Diet. Maybe that's why people avoid it as well. But no, I'm saying diet. What's up, Connie? How was DC? Did you get to the Spy Museum? We did not go to the Spy Museum, and I've actually been there, and it was cool. I went there a long time ago. It's probably even better, but yeah, it was awesome. We had such a great time. But I'll tell you, yeah, oh my God, we went three straight days of like nonstop museuming, and holy macaroni. So I was like, I'm so good with museums right now for a while, but it was super fun. I mean, man, we had perfect weather. It was great. It was super duper great. Joanne says why. I'm not saying diets, or I'm not saying die when I say diet. It might just sound like that. But if you're asking why I think diets suck, we could talk about that. I mean, the reason diets suck is they don't work. Right? The diets work to help you live at your goal weight. I'm not arguing that they might help you lose some weight, right? But I am arguing that I don't think diets set you up to live at your goal weight forever. And I think there's a lot of reasons why. And I think the biggest reason is the mindset. I think a dieting mindset, right off the bat, a diet subconsciously Like, and I'm talking about diet as the verb process of using it to lose weight, right? So I'm not talking about like the noun, like what's a civilization's diet. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about using a diet to lose weight. And when you diet to lose weight, your subconscious mind thinks it is a temporary thing. So I'm going to do this thing, cut carbs out, 1,200, whatever. You pick your poison. You're going to do this one thing until you lose the weight. And then what? And then what are you going to do? And that is the core of the dieting mindset problem. So it's the outer frame. The fact that you think of dieting as a temporary thing is probably the biggest mindset problem, because it's the container that allows all the other problems to exist within it. Because as soon as you think of something as temporary or short term, the next question becomes, okay, well, how fast can I get it done? Right? Why not? But I can do this miserable shit to lose weight. It's a temporary thing. So let's just get it over with. And then that's what leads us to the diets that you see paraded in front of you that you can't get yourself to do. And so it's this step-by-step process that leads you to having approaches to losing weight that are unsustainable, that you don't like doing. And so at best, you can do it to lose the weight. And then what? This is why 95% of people that lose weight with diets put it back on. And this is probably why you're here listening to me, because you have lost weight in the past and then put it back on and you don't know what to do anymore. Eventually dieters kind of all get to the same place ultimately, which is apathy, where you're thinking about weight loss 24 hours a day and how you want to lose weight, you want to look better, you want to feel better, you're worried about it. You're constantly mulling over weight related, food related things, but you're not actually taking any action to lose the weight. You can't get yourself to start any plans anymore. And this is pretty much where every dieter ends up at some point, because the worst thing that happens is not when you lose weight. The worst thing that happens when you lose the weight and put it back on. That is one of the worst things that can happen to a person, because now you associate failure to weight loss. And this is, most people I see, they've usually lost weight and then put it back on 2-3 times. And that's usually about as much as they can handle, because now their subconscious mind says, I don't even want to do it, because even if we lose the weight, it doesn't stay off. So you get to this place where you just don't believe anything's going to work. And you get this apathy where you can't get yourself to do anything. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you feel that way, what you don't realize you're doing is you keep trying the exact same methods. You keep, I got to start a keto plan. I got to get serious. I really, shit, here, summer's right around the corner. I got to get my keto plan. I got to do it Monday. I'm going to do it Monday. I'm going to eat all the carbs in the world this weekend, and I'm going to do it Monday. I got to do this. Summer's coming up. I got 2 months, and you won't. And summer will go by, and then you do the same shit for the fall, and the same thing for January 1st. And, it just goes on and on. And whatever the plan is, it doesn't matter. It's keto, Weight Watchers, intermittent fasting. I got to do it. I got to get going. And Thursday's such a great day to think about that, because Thursday is like, okay, well, you know what? The next 3 days, I'll get ready for my diet by eating everything in sight. And then Monday, I'll kick it off, So does that sound familiar to anyone? So, yeah. No, not you. Why? My pants and shirts are loose, yay, but I've only lost 2 pounds. Wow. Well, you never know. I mean, understand this too, folks. I mean, the weight, I like the scale and I like weight. I know people, I get it. I understand that the weight's not, the scale's not catching all of your positive results. Do you understand? But I think it's a pretty good marker of it, but if you are if you're lifting weights while you lose weight, you can't really just look at the scale, because something like that, you may find that, you start eating better, you're reshaping yourself. And so while the scale may not go down, your shape may be shifting. So good for you. I'm a big fan. I like using the scale, but I also like using I use everything at my disposal to measure my success. My primary measurement of success is reflecting on how I behaved during the day, how I followed my process. That's my number one. But I like the scale going down to where I want it to be. I like my clothes the size I want them to be. I like them fitting the way I want them to fit. I like looking the way I want to look in pictures. I like looking how I look in my reflection. I like feeling the way I feel when I walk around a city 3 days straight. I like all these things. So I'll take absolutely everything to validate and measure my success. Great job. Sheila says, so easy to let 1 or 2 bad days make you fall off the wagon and give up. Yeah, absolutely, Sheila. I totally agree. But what I'm saying is that I think it's easier to let that happen when you're thinking short term. And this is why I'm telling you, I say this every single day. The dieter mindset, the most I don't want to keep saying toxic. It's like that's not the word I mean, but I don't mean ineffective, but the most harmful aspect of a diet mindset is the time frame, because that time frame makes you conditional. So and you experience time distortion as well, because you know that first week of a diet feels like a month, right? Time distortion is real. You know this. So you feel like you feel like you're been on it for a month, and then you look at the scale and you lost a pound or two. So, oh my God. And then you have one bad day. I always use, let me explain it this way, that what the time frame does is it causes you to think about your weight loss like it's a sprint. Okay. So if you run a sprint's unique in terms of racing because it requires absolute perfection. It takes absolute perfection. You can't trip a little bit. You can't get off the blocks slow and still win the race. You're going to lose. It's a perfection race. And this is how you're internalizing dieting, as opposed to a marathon where you could trip a little bit in a marathon, just start slow a little bit with a marathon and make up for it, right? Because there's more time. So you have been conditioned to think of your weight loss like a sprint, and so that any mistake feels catastrophic. So that like you said, the 1 or 2 bad days, it's not a big deal depending on what time frame you're thinking in. 1 or 2, I think forever. So I go away, and I eat like shit for 4 days straight. It doesn't matter to me because I'm thinking long term. And if I was just thinking, oh, how much weight can I lose by the time summer comes? Well, I'd feel like I blew it. I can't lose the weight I want to lose now by summer. So fuck it. I'm done. And this is what's going on in the back of your head. This is why you can't stick to anything, because you can't be perfect. You can't fucking be perfect. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's like, Jesus, if you don't believe in hypnosis, how do you believe like all the smart people in the world that keep trying to diet and thinking they're going to be perfect? You're one of them if you're watching me, because I know like only smart people that are overthinkers watch me. And it's like the idea that the magical Monday that shows up where you're going to be perfect is the biggest illusion ever. It's so stupid. It really is. And I don't mean to make you feel bad if you thought you were going to be perfect, because you're not. And thinking you're going to be perfect is one of the most sabotaging beliefs you can have, because then when you're not perfect, you're like, oh shit, I was doing so well too. No, you're still doing well. You got to look at things statistically. You got 4 great days, and then you have 2 days where you have bad days of eating. Great. That's a 60% improvement over the previous weeks. If you're not looking at it that way, you're looking at it all or nothing, black or white. I'm perfect, and then I'm not on it at all. So I get what you're saying, Sheila. That's absolutely, for most people, 1 or 2 bad days just does them in. And there's always going to be 1 or 2 bad days, which is why you're never able to master your weight. This is the big picture piece of it. Now, I could talk about specific, more granular details of why you're struggling, but the big one is that your time frames are all screwed up, for sure. What's up, Deanna? I think that's happening to me. I'm eating better and feel really good, but the scale is stubborn. Yeah, the scale does what it does. And I'm a big believer that I really believe this now more and more. I see this, and I've never been able to explain it. I would say understanding the microbiome is the first scientific thing I've seen that's explained what I've seen with my eyes for 30 years, 20 years professionally, dealing with weight loss with people. And that is that you may start eating better and you may not lose much weight initially. And consequently, someone who's lighter might start eating more and not gain weight immediately. And I've never been able to understand that. And the closest I've gotten to it is understanding the microbiome. And they're really doing some really interesting research on that. And long story short is you've got a microbiome. It's the cells in your body are actually more non-human cells than human. What's digesting your food is your microbiome, which is a community of gut microbes in your body. And there's all kinds of different ones. So there's different communities of microbiome. So if you eat a lot of fast food, sugar, processed food, you're going to have one type of microbiome makeup. And if you eat a natural food diet, you're going to have a different type of microbiome. Okay. And so this microbiome in mice, anyways, now they haven't figured this out with humans yet, but this might be interesting to you. They can take an obese mouse and transplant a thin mouse microbiome into it. And they can feed that obese mouse 1,000 calories and it'll it'll feed it the same amount of calories and it'll lose weight because the microbiomes are extracting different percentages of the calories out of the food. And so this makes sense to me because there does seem to be a buffer zone for when you cut food down sometimes or when you increase food that initially there may not be much of a reflection on weight. Now, different people, it's different for different people. Okay. And eventually it's all going to work itself out. But in the short term, weight loss is very inconsistent and unpredictable. And I'm a big believer. This is, again, I don't know. The science isn't conclusive on this yet, but I, with my own eyeballs, have just witnessed so many people that have added calories, reduced calories, and the weight doesn't, it's not like a bank account. It's not instant reaction. There seemed to be some weird thing going on. It's cortisol, it's microbiomes, it's other factors. But again, eventually, it all works where it works. But you can see at the end, right? Because it's like, I'm eating better and really stubborn. And my diet mindset being temporary is the biggest dumb thing we do. Lifestyle makes so much more sense. Absolutely. But part of what's going on for you, Deanna, is your mindset is transforming. And this is a big part that happens is we have to create a new relationship with the scale. And the way I suggest you do that is you stop focusing so much on the scale. Now, I'm the same guy that says, weigh yourself every day. But I suggest you do it in a somewhat indifferent way. And that being said, you put most of your energy onto the process, onto the lifestyle, and you clean that up. And so Deanna, what I always say is I don't give a shit if the scale's stubborn now. I've completely transformed my eating, my lifestyle, or I'm in the process of transforming it. And I know that if I consume 1,000 calories less a week, 300 calories less a day, I know it's going to show up in my weight eventually. It has to. And I like believing that. Does it work? I don't know. How could it not? You got the body that no matter what. Anyways, Billy says, love your podcast. Knew it, and it makes so much sense. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I'm a professional musician. It's always about the post-gig hang. Yep, drinks, food, trying to eat more before shows so I don't go crazy after shows, but it's tough. Trading seltzer for beer too. Yeah, I get that, right? So I'm assuming you play the saxophone. Yeah, we all got our challenges. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to say is that really what it ultimately comes down to is knowing what to do and being able to get yourself to do it. And then knowing what to do is not like dieting, knowing what to do. It's strategies. And everyone needs specific strategies. So for Billy here, as a professional musician, that's a unique challenge than most of us, right? Because most of us we're at home, we're going to bed, whatever. But there's challenges there too. Everyone has challenges. So in my world, I feel like the best way to move forward with is to identify what your challenges are. Okay, yeah, the sax player in Vegas too. All right, so, but you're in Vegas, so right off the bat, you've already got strategies to deal with a lot of temptations, let's just say, right? Than the average person has to deal with. So you've got a lot of strategies. I'm going to assume that you've already created to deal with other areas of life, right? And so now it's about figuring out what strategies can I rely on that will consistently allow me to act the way that I want to act so that I can weigh what I want to weigh, and feel the way I want to feel and be the person I want to be. And what you'll notice is that, so being a professional saxophone player in Vegas, that's a unique set of challenges for the average of us. Okay. However, we zoom out a little bit. It's the same thing. It just comes down to strategies because your challenges run in patterns, right? You got a different schedule than the average person, but it's a schedule. You know what to expect. You know where the difficult problems are. You know what the issues are. And so it becomes about what's the best solution possible for me, right? So specifically after show hangouts, after show food, after show drinking. How do I deal with it? After show adrenaline probably, right? So it's dealing with these specific issues and consistently dealing with them until you figure out a strategy that really works for you. That's the key thing too. A strategy is not, I'm going to cut my calories down. A strategy, I'm going to stop eating carbs. That's one little piece of a strategy. And if that's all you've got, it's a tactic. Do you understand? Tactic and strategies. A tactic is just one thing. And that's what you've been conditioned to think with your weight loss. I just need to change one thing. No. You need to change one thing by changing a lot of things. And changing a lot of things actually frees you up to the key component of a better strategy is a strategy that is relatively comfortable for me. And no one ever takes that into account because people just want to say, oh, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And you can tell them the most drastic shit, as proven by keto. Keto's the fucking goofiest out of the bunch. Keto's the goofiest out of all of them for the average person, right? Who just wants to lose weight. If you got other reasons to do keto, then that's a different story. But if you're just a regular person with a regular metabolism who wants to lose weight and you choose keto and you've chosen keto for 10 years and it hasn't worked, I mean, what what are you thinking? You know what I mean? Like, Christ. So we got to realize everyone's challenges are unique. And so if you play the sax professionally in Vegas, you're going to need a different strategy to succeed and master your weight than someone who's, working 9 to 5 at the bank, And so, but that's true for everyone. And again, this goes beyond diets, because diets aren't giving you specific, unique strategies for you. They're just saying, okay, you do what everyone else does. You can't think that way, which isn't to say that I think all the diets have some good points to them, even keto. As far as I go with keto is, I think we live in a society where the number one source of calories is baked goods. So yeah, any diet that's focusing on reducing refined carbs is probably going to help people, but that's just one tiny little piece of the puzzle. How do you get yourself into a headspace, a physical space where you can comfortably eat the way you need to eat to weigh what you want to weigh? That's the part that takes a little more thought. But once you figure it out, everything becomes easier. But you're never figuring that stuff out because you're just trying to follow diets. And usually it's the same fucking diet over and over again. It doesn't work. That's the insanity of being a human, It's so funny. It sounds very true. Love this. Yeah, the schedule is different than most people. Thanks for this. Yeah, you're welcome. Billy, what it comes down to is really honoring yourself. And I said, this is true for all of us. We have to honor ourselves. What works for us? There's 8 billion people. What works for you probably doesn't work for most people. So you have to really start honoring yourself, which is the opposite of the diet. You're in this mindset where you can't honor yourself. You can't trust yourself. You can't do what you want to do. You hate yourself. You're mad at yourself. You're fucking mad at yourself because you're so pissed off that you can't follow the dumb diet. It's completely backwards. And, which is fine. Again, I don't mind that it's backwards, but it's like you don't know it's backwards. And so you're internalizing it all as it's your fault. It's not your fault. You've never been taught or shown how to master your weight. You never think these ways. And so you're just kind of stuck, Yeah, Deanna says carnivore is even more extreme, I think. Yeah, carnivore is even more ridiculous. In my opinion, I don't know. And I see doctors touting it, but then it reminds me that doctors don't know anything about nutrition. You know this, right? Doctors don't really study nutrition in doctor school. I know that's a hard thing to believe. Go look it up because the numbers are always changing. So I'm gonna sit here and throw out numbers that are, I would say 30 hours and now it's 34 hours. Oh, you were wrong, Jim. But it's really, you would be gobsmacked, I think, if you looked up and saw how much nutrition doctors take. Doctors don't know shit about weight loss. Okay. They really don't. So yeah, I love doctors, but they don't know everything. And the medical establishment in general is, what am I talking about? I got on this because of the carnivore thing, but I see a lot of doctors promoting carnivore, but you have to look and see what their specialties are. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Just because they're a doctor doesn't mean they know everything. Doctors need to have specialties and then maybe listen to them. But, I'm not a doctor, but I do know what a carnivore's digestive tract looks like. And I know what a human's digestive tract looks like. And they look very different. So I would never, ever, never, never, ever just live on a carnivore diet. It seems so odd to me, but I get that people are so desperate, they'll try anything. So here we are, but yeah, doctors are motivated by money sometimes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a co-doctor. You got to figure this out for yourself because doctors just don't know. I mean, we know this. Because this, if you're overweight, you've been to the doctors. What does the doctor say? Hey, you should lose some weight. Yeah. No shit, doc. Any tips you got for me? Well, they do now. What is it? Medicine, maybe surgery. Doctor's going to be doctoring. I mean, you know what I mean? Like when they only told you guys a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So, what you're going to get from doctors typically is surgery, medicine. That's the world they live in. Whatever, it's fine. It's a great world when you break your arm or when you get an acute disease or something that they're good at fixing. It's not good when it comes to weight loss. Doctors are not good at weight loss. We know this. We've never had more medical care in history, and we've never had higher obesity rates. They're not there to help you master your weight. Again, the medical establishment in general is there to treat symptoms, not to find cures. The money's in treating the symptom, not in finding the cure. So you're just not, that's why I say you're never getting this information anywhere. And on top of never getting actual genuine information how to master your weight, you're getting fucking nonstop barrage of bullshit trying to get you to eat bullshit and do the wrong stuff and treat the symptoms. And you can't even think clearly at this point, which is literally the reason why I do this every day. I do this podcast every single day. It's me trying to help out the world. I'm feeling very patriotic. I just went to DC and I see all these amazing people that really did change the course of the world. I'm feeling a little inspired for sure. So many stories of just regular people doing amazing things. It's cool. But that's why I do this anyways, is because, again, for me, if you don't know, my story is so personal because my father died at 54 of a heart attack. So the most traumatic event in my life didn't have to happen. And that's the world we live in now, where weight-related issues are neck and neck with smoking for the number one cause of preventable death. Imagine this. It's depressing. So I'm not talking about you wearing even your skinny jeans. I'm talking about you living as long as you can. The Framingham study, the longest study they've done on a huge population of people in terms of, heart disease and weight, because they're tied together. And it shows, and I'm blanking on the exact numbers here, but it's 5 to 7, but I'm going to mix them up because there was women specifically overweight or obese were losing 5 to 7 years of their lives is what that was showing. So, we're talking potentially 5-7 years of your life. And then we're talking about your quality of life while you're alive, potentially having to do with your weight and your ability to influence what you put in your mouth. So it's not, again, dieting always makes you think you want to look better. They're always trying to make it superficial. The diet industry doesn't want you to lose weight, folks. The diet industry is the food industry. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products is owned by the same company that owns Carvel Ice Cream and Cinnabon. Slim Fast, owned by the same company that owns Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream. These companies do not want you to eat less of their shitty food products. They want you to diet and make some money off of you there. And then they want to fill your head with rocks when it comes to how to lose weight, so that you just get stuck in this never-ending seesaw of trying to diet intensely and then going back to how you always eat, but nothing ever changes. So, anyways, somebody says, your advice has helped me to stick to my healthy diet and also remind myself to lifestyle change. That's wonderful. I'm so happy about that. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah, it depends on how bad those days are. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a bad day of eating, it can be intense. I just noticed that because I went away for 4 days. I ate like shit. And it wasn't even that shitty. It's funny. Everything's so relative, but it was a lot more sugar, a lot more food than I typically eat, and an absence of some of the core things I eat. But it's like, yeah, yesterday was a tough day. I was extra hungry. I was also kind of tired. But yeah, there's a lot of factors that you can influence to make it easier. But yeah, bad days of eating can definitely trigger a chain reaction, no doubt about it. But there's ways to deal with that. We deal with that in the program, because everything in Program Yourself Thin is really about how to manage, not about how to be perfect, but how to manage real life. Diets aren't real life. They're fantasy fucking land. The idea that you're never going to eat a carb again is the silliest. You don't even want to do it. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna let that one go. So I don't feel guilty if I go off track for a special occasion. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad about that. Exactly. You need to have the ability to have variety in your diet. It's very, very important. And if you don't think it is, then that's fine. But next time you get off track, reflect on why it happened. Connie says, I know PYT has changed my mindset because things got hectic, and instead of gaining as usual, I'm maintaining. Oh, that's so great, Connie. I love hearing that. Yeah. So practicing maintenance, as you say, that's exactly it. Again, the diet mind says it's a straight line, this drastic off a cliff line of weight loss. And it's bullshit. I don't really do it anymore, but back in the day when I was working with private clients, I used this app and I would have them track their weight every week. And what real weight loss looks like this. It's up and down. Now it's a trend line going down most of the time. Sometimes it's like this. It really is. But again, we're looking at the trend line. But in the short term, Why does weight go up and down? Because your fucking moods go up and down, your energy levels go up and down, stresses go up and down, time you have goes up and down. You know what I mean? Like all sorts of things go up and down. That's why your weight goes up and down. It can't just be a straight line. You're not a robot. You're living in an environment that's constantly in flux, and you have no ability or strategy to manage that, because a diet doesn't do that. A diet's some fantasy land where you're just going to eat perfectly starting today. And it's like when you take a step back from realize it's setting you up for so much failure, which should be good news, because I'm not just trying to bag on diets here. I do that a lot, but I do it with the intention of pointing you in a direction, a solution. I would never just sit here all day and make you feel like shit if I didn't have some kind of solution. And I talk about that all the time too. And if you want to really engage with the solution, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, and watch the video I made for you. That goes through a much more systematic, it's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That will give you a much broader concept of how to manage your weight for good. And it doesn't exist in your head right now. It really doesn't. You know, but once it's there, everything changes. You know, what you don't realize is you've got a map in your head that was installed there by the diet industry. So when you think about weight loss, you primarily think like a dieter. You've been literally hypnotized, brainwashed, conditioned, whatever words you want to use. This is why anytime a dieter is like, oh, does hypnosis work? Oh, it works. You're fucking hypnotized right now. You're in a dieter trance. You think like a dieter and you're stuck there, like the Manchurian Candidate. Like you couldn't be more hypnotized, you know, as a dieter. And so it's not you, it's the fact that you've been infected by the diet virus, by the diet mindset. And that's why you're so stuck more than anything else. So good job, Connie. It's nice when you change those things, you know, because again, yeah, when you have like your main triggers and you deal with them, it's it's foundationally shifting, because that's been in the past, whether you recognize it or not. It's like, oh yeah, I can do well for a while. And now again, most people never even have the ability to look and analyze what trick kicked them off, because they're so all or nothing that the second they make a mistake, they go right in the depths of hell. Oh, I can't do it. And they're completely shut off now. You know, and you have no skills. So again, Connie's learning the skills and program herself in so that she can recognize what's the big challenge. And for her, the core thing is not the eating. It's not the eating. It's never the eating, folks. The eating is never the core problem for you. I promise you. It's always your mindset and the strategies that you have access to or don't have access to. And so for Connie, it's not the eating, it's the stress, right? She lovingly referred to herself as a frantic lunatic. So frantic lunatic, how's a frantic lunatic eat? You know, I don't get a picture of a frantic lunatic sitting down and calmly eating a salad. Right. So, you know, but if that's what we believe, and you can't avoid stress in your life. So what do? Well, you learn how to deal with the stress better. You see where it comes at you in life, because you're prepared for it. And when it hits you, you see it coming, and then it gets you, and then you're prepared for it, and you have strategies to deal with that. And in those situations where life's giving you just a steady helping of shit, that's probably not a time when you're going to lose a lot of weight, to be honest. It might be time when you have to just kind of ride out the storm. Imagine that. Like, what a crazy idea, right? Think about that. When it comes to weight loss, you have no concept of riding out storms of life. Think about that. Your idea of weight loss is just a straight line down. But what if you start your diet and you're doing great for the first 3 weeks? You're down 7 pounds. Everything's going amazing. And then you lose your job. Or then your partner gets sick, real sick. Or then you got to move. Or then someone close to you passes away. What happens then? Yeah. You're not going to follow that diet. So how do you ride it out? You don't ride it out. You fuck the diet. So you got to be able to deal, you know, with the challenges of life. How do you deal with feeling tired of the process, counting calories, constant worrying about what you eat, etc.? Well, Sheila, I mean, that's a great question. See, so Sheila, you especially, because you're asking smart questions here, please go to my bio and click that link and get the hypnosis session and watch the video I made. Because you're again, these questions you're asking, which is be normal. These questions are asked within a dieting mindset, right? Because, you said the quiet part out loud. What do you do when you're tired of the process? Why do you all think you stop dieting when you stop dieting? What do you think leads to you stopping dieting? Well, a lot of it's exactly what she said. I get tired of it. It's fucking boring. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to count calories anymore. I don't want to constantly plan every meal. I don't want to never eat a carb again. I'm tired of going to birthday parties and I can't eat a piece of cake. It's weird. You see? And so you honor that. You start by honoring that. I don't like doing this shit. I don't like how I'm doing this. So you start setting up the way I'm going to lose weight and ultimately master is I'm going to do it by doing things I like to do. And I'm going to avoid the things I don't like doing. I remember this when it was 30 years ago, I dropped 50 pounds, but I remember I started off the process and the little voice in my head goes, okay, we're gonna have to work out really hard. And I remember the other voice, this was the magical part. The other voice comes up and says, I don't want to work out. I don't like working out. I don't like going to the gym and lifting weights and working out in the gym. I don't like it. So I'm not going to do that. So, oh my God, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to lose weight then? I'm going to master my eating because I'm lazy. And that's the easiest way I could think that I could truly master my weight long-term is I will master my eating. That's what I'm going to do. Because that's lazy as well. I'll just eat less. That's even lazier. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to build around my strengths. I'm not going to. So, okay. So how do I master my eating? Oh, so now you got to count. Now you got to count calories. Now you got to do this. You got to count points. You got to do that. Fuck that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. What are you going to do? I'm going to make it so it's kind of automatic. I'm going to structure my eating so I eat consistently. And that kind of evolved into where I'm at now and what I teach, which is to have 5 days of clean eating, 2 days of pleasure eating. And the clean days are structured in a certain way where I eat the same thing for breakfast, same thing for lunch, different things for dinner, but consistently the same things week after week. And on the pleasure days, I have a structure there too, where I eat, similar things for breakfast, similar thing for dinner. Don't eat lunch usually. And so I figured out how to eat. Now, I hate to use the word intuitively because it gets people think of it the wrong way. So it's about honoring yourself and building around your strengths and how you want to do it forever. So I think that's a really great question, Sheila, is that if you hate counting points, if you hate tracking calories, don't lose weight that way. So how am I going to lose weight? There's a million ways to lose weight. And if you start building around your strengths and what actually works for you, you'll be amazed at where you're at, how quickly you get to a whole new place. Because the thing with the diets is it's like, I don't know, there's probably a better way to explain this, but it's like you're always doing the first part over and over and over again. So I was thinking like a track, like when you run a mile, like a race track, and it's like you run the first quarter of it. You run the first quarter, you get tired, then you stop for a while, then you start again. You run the first quarter, you get tired of it, this is a start again. And you just keep running that same first quarter of the track. You never get past that. And so you never create long-term strategies that work for you. You don't even think in that way. You just keep trying to start the race again. And you always get to the same point pretty much. And you never get past that. And so that's really bad because here I am 30 years into the process. I'm always optimizing and tweaking and growing and evolving. I'm reading a great book that someone sent to me. It's so good. And I sometimes I'll start reading books and I'll be like, guys, there's going to be good stuff in here. Because if there's not good stuff, I'll just read through it real quick. But the second I hit something that's like really good, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take notes. And I hit that sentence maybe 6 pages into the book. And I was like, basically, I can't remember exactly what it said. Basically said, when you hit middle age, your success is going to depend a lot more on your optimization as opposed to brute force. And so this is another conversation that might be interesting for a lot of you, because I'm going to assume a lot of you are in the ballpark of your 40s, 50s, somewhere in that range, 40s, 50s, 60s. And you don't have the energy you had when you were in your 20s. So that's just another piece of the puzzle of why you can't get yourself to do the crazy shit you did when you were in your 20s. There's other reasons too, but part of it is just energetically. We don't have the energy we had. So we need to become more strategic. We need to optimize what we're doing. And so I sit in front of you. I've been building on what I do, mindset wise, lifestyle wise, eating wise, strategies for 30 years. So I have 30 years of optimizing and tweaking my eating strategies, my lifestyle, my mindset strategies so that they work exactly for me. So it's very easy for me to eat the way that I eat, live the way I live, think the way I think, that allows me to live my goal weight. And I anticipate this continuing for the rest of my life. So I'm never starting over. Do you understand? It's like you starting and stopping is the big problem. You need to start and never stop again. Now, you can't even comprehend that because you're presupposing a diet. In your head, whatever you do, you're thinking, never stop a keto plan, never stop Weight Watchers, never stop tracking, never stop whatever the bullshit you think you got to do is. You see? But that's part of what I'm trying to say to you is that you think of the dieting as a temporary thing. So it always has a stop. I mean, it's getting your goal weight. So for me, there is no stop. Like I will live this way, some form of this forever. Now I know in 10 years, it'll grow and evolve and tweak even more in ways I can't even imagine. And I'm excited about that, but I know it's going to be even easier. I know it's going to give me even better results. So I build around anything I'm going to do to manage my weight. I'm not just going to do it because it manages my weight. That's what you have to stop doing. You tell yourself the biggest fucking lie that I don't care what I got to do. I just want to lose the weight. Just tell me what I got to do. I'll do it. No, you won't. No, you will not. How dare you? There's no way. There's no way in hell that you'll just do whatever. If that was the case, you wouldn't even be here listening to me because you'd be at your goal weight doing what you have to do. So you better start taking into account that, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to do boring shit. I don't want to do really, really hard stuff. No, I don't. But I do want to master my weight. That's a sweet spot to be in. That's the spot that really leads you into a new direction of mastery. And that's how it works. I hope that helps you out. Nurse Anita, that's absolutely what I need to do, not beat myself up when I get off track. Oh, absolutely. Stop beating yourself up, folks. It doesn't help. If it worked, I would tell you to do it. I promise. It doesn't work. It does not work. Can't see here. These little white things are getting in the way of the white text. Ari Lisa says, once you get your goal weight, how do you stop getting complacent? Oh, see, now that's a great question. And that, again, that's coming straight out of a diet mindset. And I'm not picking on you, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Once you get to your goal weight, how do you stop getting complacent? You see, because this is exactly what I mean. The dieter gives up the pleasure of the food for the pleasure of the scale going down. And then eventually the scale stops going down. And now they don't got any pleasure from the scale going down. They got no pleasure from the food. How do you stay motivated? And I know you have no answer for that. I just want to let you sit with that for a second, because it's important that you realize that your mindset has set you up for complete and total failure. You can't even think outside. You can't even think outside of a diet mindset. How would you stay motivated once you lost the weight? How do you not get complacent? I'll tell you how. You take your weight loss and you wrap it in personal development. So this for me is not just about being at a weight. The weight alone is never going to be enough motivation for you all. Just letting you know. It's not. You don't even want to lose weight. If you're not losing weight, it's because you don't want to lose weight. It's that simple. And you need to take your weight loss and wrap it in personal development. You've got to make this a process about being the best version of you possible. And now you'll have a chance to actually succeed with it. If you just want to lose some weight, good luck. Go check out keto. This ain't for you. I'm letting you know that, this is about becoming the best version of you possible. So how do I stay motivated? Because the scale, I've been at the same weight for 30 years. I went blip 12 years ago, but it's the same weight. So I'm not getting any motivation from watching the scale go down. So where's my motivation come from? Because for me, being at this weight is me being at my best. And me being at my best is really important to me because, thanks, Don. I want to be the best father I can possibly be. I want to be the best husband I can possibly be, the best son I can possibly be, the best brother, the best friend, the best coach, the best entrepreneur, the best business owner, and the best community member. And it goes on and on and on. These are things that I really value in my life. And for me to really be at my best with all those things, I believe I need to be at this weight, in this shape, nourishing and eating the way I eat and living the way I live and thinking the way I think. You see what I mean? And so every day it's just more and more pleasure from all the ways that I'm living and eating and thinking. And so, yeah, I have no problem with motivation, but I developed this, and again, this is number one in Program Yourself Thin. The main two components of the program is the Program Yourself Thin method, which is a hypnosis technique used to program your subconscious mind, and the eating blueprint. But there's also a bunch of bonuses if you need them. And one of them is creating a mindset that's really going to support you if that's part of your struggle. which it is, but it's there for you. And the very first part of that training is motivation training, because as I said, you're not even motivated to lose weight, and you have no idea how to motivate yourself. So once you know how to do that, it's a game changer, as you can imagine. Imagine if you were actually motivated to lose weight. It's a big deal. What's up, Astrid? You gave me good advice yesterday. Thank you again. I'm on the bike. Great job, Astrid. Yeah, that was a great call yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Me and Astrid got to have some one-on-one time yesterday. That was a lot of fun. So that was a good time, Astrid. And I'm excited to hear about the work too. So I'm going to ask you about that. I can't wait to hear about it. Paige says keto is strange, even for medical reasons. It can be very difficult to get patients into ketosis. Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. But again, desperate people will do desperate things, but when you take a step back and look at it, it's really a goofy thing. You changed so many lives. Thank you for helping me change mine. Oh, you're welcome, Spence. I'm happy to do that. What's up, Mario? How's it going? Lauren says 24 away from going live. Not sure what that means. Mario says currently trying to get on track after a week of binging. I constantly keep thinking I'll fail. Yeah, I get that, Mario. Mario, have you signed in and gotten the hypnosis session and watched the video yet? Let me know. What's up, Don? LKSGF says, how can I stop thinking about food? I feel like I don't have a feeling of fullness. Thinking about food, the food noise thing for sure. And you feel like you're not full. Now I'm going to assume, I don't know you, I've never met you, but I'm going to assume one of the reasons you don't feel full is because you probably eat a lot of processed food. Now that's just my first salvo. You know what I mean? Like maybe you do, but I find the vast majority of people are feeling hungry all the time and constantly thinking about food. They're eating a lot of processed food, a lot of fast food, and not a lot of whole natural foods. And so that's first thing. And I know I'm not blaming you for this because you never taught it. And you could even watch a whole weight loss special on Oprah Winfrey with the most celebrated weight loss doctors on the planet, and you won't hear any of this. So it's a war of information. I will tell you that. There's a lot of money being made off of you being unhealthy, overweight, and unhappy. So it is hard to find information. I've been doing this for 30 years, obsessively, which is why I'm happy to get on here and share all this with you, because it's not common knowledge. So yeah, if you're thinking about food, the first thing I'm asking is, what are you typically eating? And if you're typically eating processed foods, there you go. Processed food is literally engineered in labs to make you hungry and to overeat it. It's a business. Do you understand? There's chemists making your food now, not chefs. And so, you're not going to get a feeling of fullness from processed foods. You're going to get a feeling of endless hunger is what you're getting. It's like the cigarettes, right? Cigarettes, it's like as soon as you start smoking them, it's like now you're addicted. And so you always feel craving for the cigarette. It wasn't there, but the craving for cigarettes doesn't come from not having them. It comes from smoking them, if that makes sense. And it's the same thing with the food. So you got to start thinking that way. Now, again, you may tell me you eat all natural food, then we'll have a different conversation. But my first volley back is that, what are you eating? And if you're anyone, all of you, because I did this for years. I didn't understand. I called it the endless hunger. I could just eat and eat and eat and eat. There seemed to be no connection between my stomach and my hunger. Now I know why. So. Connie says, so powerful knowing that I can withstand the storm and ride it out until I have time to dig deeper. Exactly, Connie. That's brilliance right there from Connie. And this is something dieters don't have. You don't have any other gears. You got one gear, lose weight gear, right? It's all or nothing. You're either going 100 miles in one direction and try and lose weight quickly, and there's no ability to slow down. There's no ability to maintain, ride out storms till you can kind of hit it again. And that's a problem, because again, life's up and down. So that's a great job, Connie. Kevin says, I lost 175 pounds. Wow. Wonderful, Kevin. That's great. From my long weight struggle experience, it's Monjuro. All right, Monjuro. 175 pounds of Monjuro. Wonderful. Sunrise 2020. Yes, I feel like I've been on a hamster wheel. Yeah, it feels like a hamster wheel. That's exactly a good way to put it. That's a better way than my stupid track thing. I like the hamster wheel, but One thing I don't like the hamster wheel is the sense of like you're always starting. There's like a starting point, a hamster wheel. But yeah, that's what dieting feels like. That's what weight loss feels like. You just keep running the same track. Nothing's ever new. A lot of people feel that way. Queen Victoria, and the older you are, the older your habits are. Older ingrained habits are harder to change. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I will say, let me speak to this for a second, because this goes to the point, again, and program yourself thin if you choose. There's a mindset section where you get to learn about how to actually influence your habits strategically. And I say that snarkily because unless you've studied habits, you don't know what fucking habits are. You get some weight. I gotta fight my habits with my willpower. It's like, oh my God. If you don't even understand habits at all, like you're gonna have a hard time dealing with them. But here's the deal with habits, right? So habits are really just neural connections, well-established, thick neural connections, and they run pretty much on autopilot. So there's no getting rid of old neural wiring. You can't take my snacking at night habit. I'm just gonna get rid of it. That you can't do that. It's always going to be there, which is why you've dieted before, you've changed everything, and then when you get off track, all the old habits come right back like they never left. They never left. Okay. So what do? You got the old habit you don't like. And what you have to do is you have to wire new habits over it. And that's the only chance you have. And yes, it is a little bit slower when you're older, because their old neural connections are thicker. And sometimes the new connections don't create quite as quickly as they did when we were younger. But it's a completely different process, and it works way faster than anything you've done up until now, because what you've been trying to do is leave the wiring intact and just trying to fight against it consciously, and it doesn't work. So again, there's a much more strategic way to do that. Mario says, can't believe I spend all my 20s trying to lose weight and I'm still fat at 29. I'm going insane. Yeah, Mario, but I mean, like, again, 29, that's nothing. I talk with people, have conversations with people in their 70s. So you're lucky you're hearing me, honestly, because you can get yourself on a different path. And in a year or so, you could be in a completely different spot. I want you to start focusing on weight mastery. And the way you master things, folks, is a little bit at a time. You can't master things in a day, in a week, in a month. Mastery takes time. And so does weight mastery. Same thing. It's for life and not just weight loss. Exactly, Artie Lisa. See, I know, like, once you hear that, yeah, so you get it, right? That's the other thing too, folks. It's like, this is the reason I do this every day. And someone said the other day, like, Jesus, you're really committed to doing these, huh? And I'm like, I really am. This is what I do all day anyways. I literally been talking and studying weight, like, just all day, every day for 30 years, right? And professionally for 20 years. And it's just, I'm obsessed with it for a number of reasons. But one of the biggest ones, I really do care for people. I always joke, when I was a kid, I thought about becoming a doctor until I took a chemistry class. I was like, that's not for me. So it's like, I'm still out here attempting to help people, just in a different way. And I do it because, especially like I know the people get on my lives and listen to the podcast and end up joining the program ultimately I know you're all smart people. Like, I know you're smart. It has nothing to do with your intelligence, has nothing to do with your willpower. It has to do with that you've never been taught to think the right way. And so I love it. Like, even our Lisa asked a question, and it's like, once I explain it in from a different perspective, it's like, oh, right. I had someone, I don't know if she's on here today, but Heather, I talked to her a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, about something. We went into it. And again, she forgot about it a bit. And she said, oh, thanks for reminding me. And that's a big value of coaching. I will tell you that. I know not everyone's in the financial position to be able to get coaching, but coaching is one of the best investments you can make, because you can't just, this, what's in your head right now, the wiring you got, the environment you live in is keeping you there. Our brain's a status quo machine, and your environment is maintaining that as well. And so one of the most effective ways to really start getting better results, new results, should we say, is to get into a new environment. And that's even if you're listening to the podcast, it's a new environment. You're hearing new things. You're having new thoughts going on in here. And that's the secret to getting the results you want. It's not doubling down on what hasn't worked for 30 years. It's going in a new direction, especially with weight, and yeah, it can get better so quick, but you got to think different. You can't just keep thinking the same way. Yes, of course, I've seen your hypnosis video multiple times by now. Okay, yeah. So Mario, okay, the hypnosis video. Make sure you're watching that training. And Mario, well, the motivation's good, but I think the video, the 3 steps to mastering your weight, I think is the key one because it kind of goes over the whole system, kind of explains it. Yeah, Mario, you should get the program. I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know where you're at financially, but the program's $300 now, by the way. The group coaching is only available to customers and clients now. So, I got to change that today, actually. That people can't just do that right now. But, yeah, it's $300 or 2 payments of like 167, I think, maybe. And it's 8 weeks. It's a lifetime membership. I mean, you get access to this program forever, and I'm always updating it, and it's just crazy. But I still got everything set up. So it's like, I'll talk more about that in the future. My choices are real foods nowadays, lost 50 pounds. Yeah, Janet, great, right? Exactly. And by the way, folks, again, everyone, not I'm gonna say everyone that loses weight, but people that lose weight and keep it off for a couple of years, those are the people you really want to talk to. And you're going to hear them saying all the same things I'm saying to you. Deanna says, I really like the analogy of the track. It's spot on. Maybe I should keep that one then. Yeah, it's a little bit like that, a little bit like a hamster wheel. Connie said, that was me. I'm a recovering frantic lunatic on a hamster wheel. Right, Connie. But when we get it, Connie, so remember this, when you become a frantic lunatic, we got two nervous systems. We got a sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze. And we got a parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest, pause, plan one. And the big difference between the two is when you go into sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze mode, the blood goes from your brain down to your body so your muscles can fight, flight, or freeze. It's a physical state. It's not one where you're philosophically wondering about the meaning of life. You know what I mean? It's a very responsive, reactive state where it's like, I'm running, I'm fighting, it's temporary. It's meant to be short term. Although in this society now, we live in this constant state of sympathetic activated nervous system. But when you get to become a frantic lunatic and you go into that state, you're not thinking clearly anymore. And you're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to think clearly. You're not connected to your goals. You're just in this reactive, responsive state. And so we want to consistently work on developing our parasympathetic nervous system, be more relaxed and calm, because then the blood goes back up to our brain and we can think more clearly. You've got a lot of resources within you. Whether you're connected to those or not has a lot to do with which nervous system you're in. And so it's a very leveraged activity to develop and work on being more parasympathetically grounded, because it causes you to access more of your resources, your mental resources. So you can see things clearly, you can plan better, you can strategize better, you can get yourself back on track better. Okay. So always for you, Connie, that's such a key part of this process. Honestly, it's really the foundational piece that's going to dictate your weight. So what I'm saying to you is the piece that's more important with how you're eating is how you're managing stress. And that's part of that is how much are you relaxing and practicing relaxing? What kind of calming rituals do you have in your life consistently? So it's not just like when you become a frantic lunatic, can I bring myself down? It's about living a lifestyle that creates a bigger buffer for you for when the frantic lunacy comes, the situations that triggered that in the past come, you can respond to them differently, if that makes sense. So it's a preventative mindset. See, and that's where you're going to go, Connie, because you're in the spot of where you're always responding and reacting and trying to stop it and fight against it. And what I want you to get to a place is where you have a much firmer foundation within being calm and relaxed and at peace, so that when the things that trigger the frantic lunacy, they come, but now you respond to them in a more calm, relaxed way. That's going to influence your weight probably more than anything, right? Mario says, also, I'm confused about intuitive eating. Why is TikTok so obsessed with it? Everyone says it makes you lose weight. Like, no, it made me fat. Yeah, I agree, Mario. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't really do a lot of TikTok. Like I'm on here all the time, but I don't really use it a lot. I cannot watch weight. I have a very hard time. So I was just talking about managing your state, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. 1,000 degrees in here. I talk about managing your state. Well, part of me managing my state is not watching a lot of weight loss influencers and weight loss stuff, because it just all drives me crazy. Same with politics. I don't really watch my politics anymore. It doesn't do me well, so that's part of it. But I hear what you're saying in terms of intuitive eating. I think it's a vague term, so the weight loss industry will love it. And I think a lot of people don't even know what the hell they're talking about with it. But yeah, if you're if you're overweight and have been for a long time, your intuitions are overweight intuitions. So I would not trust your intuitions. Could you retrain your intuitions? Yes, but you have to retrain them. So yeah, I would not trust your intuitions right now. You have overweight intuitions. So you got to train them first. Overwrite the wiring. Exactly, Queen. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's Heather, right? Yeah, so true. I get hypnotized by the world 23 hours a day, and gym only one. Easy to forget. It's true. That's very true. That's very true. That statement is that was a very profound moment to me in my hypnosis career when I first started with my office. People would walk out one way and then they come back the next week back to how they were, and what the shit. And then I realized how like the whole world's a hypnotist. Every commercial you see, the culture, the people you run into, there's a constant hypnosis coming at you, influencing you. And so we have to recognize that we don't live in a vacuum. You live in a very hypnotic environment. So you have to set reminders up for yourself of the person you want to be, and they got to be there. Now again, the good news is this: you can have 23 hours of bullshit hypnosis coming at you and 1 hour of good hypnosis coming at you, and that's fine. Those ratios are fine, because remember, you've got the truth on your side. And the truth is, so this is for you, Heather, right? The truth is, so we had that conversation and we went way deeper than the number on a scale. We went way deeper than just the external goals you have. And that's the truth I'm talking about. And so the deeper you go into that truth, what happens is you make this process more meaningful to you. It has more meaning. And that last conversation we had, we brought a lot more meaning into it, right? Because it wasn't just about the number on a scale or how you look. It started to become about your relationships, the relationships you value the most, the deeper meanings of your life, you see? And so as we dive deeper into the deeper meanings, it reframes this whole process, and you never forget those things, so there is the reinforcement piece of it that is important, and it always is. But the more important part is the meaning that you give this process. So it's okay to have 23 hours of bullshit programming coming at you, as long as your hour of programming is connected to a lot of meaning that's really important to you. That's how you deal with those ratios and still succeed. Deanna says, I think the world needs you more than ever now with a quick drug-based weight loss. Oh, absolutely. The relaxing is life-changing, trying to be more consistent. Yeah, of course, right? I'm always working to be more consistent. It's a lifelong thing. Again, that's why this is a personal development path at its core. And it never ends. It's always, because there's life too. I was thinking that, like, I feel like I've gotten through the last 20 years. My daughter's about to go to college. So the last 20 years have been, the big challenge there has been managing time, raising a family that I want to spend a lot of time or be around a lot, and running a business has been a real challenge, right? Because I was splitting up two things that can potentially take all of your time. And so it's been hard to manage that. And I find as my children are growing up, it's freeing up some time. It's allowing me to do work things that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I wasn't willing to do because I wasn't willing to give that time up, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's always this process. Life's always changing. It's always evolving. Again, I go back to the metaphor of the dieters. It reminds me, my wife's an engineer, and she would say, I got a finance degree. And it's funny, in both of those situations, when she was in engineering school, they would do a lot of like engineering problems, but they'd remove gravity from the equation. And when we did finance, investing projects, we would take the fees out of the equation, but these are important things. And so a lot of times when dieters think about their weight loss, they kind of like suppose that their life is going to be this constant, right? They don't think of the variabilities of life. This is literally called the planning fallacy. We all do this. When we think about something we're going to do, we tend to think about the best case scenario, and we don't take into account all the little pitfalls we may experience, right? So when it comes to weight loss, a lot of people walking around like, okay, I'll do my diet, I'll get it down, and then I'll just maintain it. And it's like, it's the most simplistic, sanitized version of what's going to happen. It's not anywhere near reality. The reality is that life is a variable. It's constantly changing. And so I use the metaphor, it's like surfing. Mastering and managing your weight is like surfing, where the wave's always changing. It's always cresting or peaking or whatever it's doing. And it's the landscape, the background is constantly shifting and changing. And that's how it's going to be in your life. The background of your life is always shifting and changing. We're getting older, relationships are getting older, things are changing constantly. And so we can't have this stiff, rigid plan that works in this situation because the situation is going to change. So we need to have the ability to be flexible, to tweak and adapt our plan for the new scenario, you see? And so, yeah, working to be more relaxed is like I've been working on being more relaxed for 30 years. And I'm always looking at how can I install more and more and more and more and more into my life. Now sometimes I'm doing that more than others. Okay. Sometimes I'm just barely surviving. And so I'm not worrying about increasing my relaxation. I'm just like trying to get enough relaxation. You hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. The loudest vehicle I've ever heard. I know this is possible. Anyways. Mara says, I'm definitely thinking about joining the program, but I'll be honest, I don't trust myself that I'll actually try and never give up. Yeah, I get that, Mario. I get that. That is always the challenge, right? I think that's the biggest reason people kind of hesitate to join the program is because they don't believe in themselves, you know? And I get it, right? Because you're thinking of my program, you're thinking like another diet. And, that's why I say, it's important to realize you have lifetime access to it. And I just keep making it cooler and cooler. So I'll leave it alone for now because I got so much. I'm so excited because that's the new focus. I'm so excited about the program because it's. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I've been doing Program Yourself Thin for 20 years, and there's always different kind of versions of it. But the last year and a half, I've been doing a lot of group coaching, tweaking the program, and now I get the program where I want it to be. And so now the program kind of sits on its own if you want to do that. And if you get into the program, there's an opportunity to group coaching still. But the program itself, it's about to jump to a whole nother level. So I'm excited, but I'm going to wait on that one right now to tell you that. Paul says, even though I think I can do things on my own, I would not be where I am without your coaching. That's probably true. I think that's true. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like if you can work with, again, I don't say this to brag, but my private coaching fee is $25,000, and the people that pay that, are very successful, ambitious, have lots of willpower, are obviously very intelligent. But we all have our challenges. And so, to work with me, there's not a lot of me. So I can see things you can't see. Now I do everything I can with the program to make it do it yourself. But if you get the option to work for me, I always say that, even still, like it's about to go away because I got to take that page down. But even now, you can still work with me in the group thing. $1,000. Connie says, thank you. Makes absolute sense. I'm glad. Yeah. Still don't understand TikTok. I know. I don't either. I hope they keep it though. Do you think the world we live in is fat phobic? Do I think the world we live in is fat phobic? Yeah, I think yes. I think it's kind of like saying, like, do we live in a racist society? Is it better than it was? I think yes, but is it still racist? Yeah. I mean, you don't just get rid of generational biases in a couple of years. Now the fat phobic thing's a little different because, like, racism's been around a lot longer than fat phobia because there was no overweight people really. You know what I mean? Not to any percentages like it is now. It wasn't a problem. There wasn't enough food, so it's a relatively new thing. But I definitely think that people that are overweight have a harder time and they're judged. And let's be honest, it's not fair and it's not right. And I think that's I like the body positivity movement for that piece of it. I think anything that allows people to feel more empowered, more successful and confident and happier right now, I love. And so I love that piece of it. But I mean, I don't think it's fair, but I don't know. Like, what do you all think? Like, it seems it to me. I'll just leave it at that, but everyone's off. Renee says the volume off. I hope not. This says, thanks. Any suggestions for listening to morning hypnosis when I wake up? I know that's what's suggested, but I'm still half asleep and I forget what it's about. Is it still effective? It is, Heather. Yeah, we talked about this, I think. I think for you, ideally, go brush your teeth and do a little bit of morning routine and then listen to it. I think that'll serve you better simply because you'll be more awake and the hypnosis is doing its thing. So that part's fine. And remembering and not remembering what it's about doesn't matter because I'm speaking to your subconscious mind. It's not meant to be consciously remembered. But I think for you, especially, the important piece would be getting is the practice in the calming down and centering and relaxing. That for you is the big piece. So I don't want you to be half asleep when you do it because you're already kind of, half asleep and kind of relaxed and calm in that state. And so you're already kind of there. I think you get kind of amped up. I have a feeling maybe even within 5, 10, 15 minutes of being awake, I think you're more amped up than that first few minutes. So I would more say wait so that you can get to your normal kind of cruising altitude so that you can kind of bring it down. Because I want you to practice being able to bring it down. That's what I want you to get good at. I think you being able to kind of bring your stress, tension, anxiety levels. I'm using strong language here. I'm not saying it's all the way up to that level, but if you can bring those levels down intentionally, that's how those hypnosis sessions are going to help you the most. And then the suggestions you're hearing are very powerful too. But again, you're never going to remember them the way you would like listen to a podcast or other just things you're listening to on a conscious level. They're built to be subconscious so that you don't have to remember them. So Buddha says it's not about being skinny, it's about being healthy. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. And skinny, I don't know. I guess I will say I've struggled with the word thin for a long time. I've spent a lot of time thinking about what's another word for thin. I've never come up with anything that I've found to be the equivalent. I've asked people, for literally decades at this point. So I have opted for thin at this point. Now, my definition of thin, I've taken liberties to redefine what thin is to me. Thin to me is you living at your goal weight. I want my clients to be able to say, I weigh exactly what I want to weigh. And so I like that version of thin because you get to decide it. Now, what's your goal weight? I think your goal weight should be the weight that gives you the best quality of life. Now, that being said, I will say I do draw the line with skinny. So skinny, I'm starting to notice is more, even like Kate Moss, like nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I think skinny's different. I think skinny is valuing a number on a scale that's low more than anything else. And so I'm not saying that in any capacity. I just want to make that crystal clear that it's certainly not about, again, I just unpacked thin and what that means to me. It's really about you living at the weight that gives you the best quality of life. And that's different for each person. And I don't think that number is, I notice I didn't say what's the goal weight. Oh, go look at the BMI chart. It's in the normal range. I didn't say that because I think for a lot of people, their goal weight, the weight that's going to give them the best quality of life will put them in the overweight range. And I think you'll be fine. I think health-wise, what I see is normal and overweight ranges of BMI chart. The health is very similar there. So it really just becomes a decision. Where do I want to weigh? And we got to take into account how do I want to eat to make that decision. So I just want to clarify that when I say thin, it's not just skinny and like being some number someone tells you should weigh based on, social media. It's based on the weight that gives you the best quality of life and you being able to live at that weight, Pancakes. I like that. Should I lift weights during fasting or eating window? I am not an exercise expert, so I could not answer that for you. I don't know the answer to that question. True, but sometimes it feels like you're expected to be skinny to be considered healthy. Yeah. You certainly, you do not need to be. I'm again, I think obese and underweight are two outliers that are kind of associated with not great health typically. And normal and overweight range of the BMI chart tend to be more correlated with better health. So I'll just leave that there. Just want to follow the rules. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, I think that'll help you better, Heather. But again, experiment with it. There's no right or wrong really. They're just kind of figuring out what works best for you. So again, I would say, after you start your morning routine, test that one out, see how that feels. That kind of says that there. I think it might be a lot of like, I think you guys might be. Should I lift weights during fasting or eating window? Yeah, I don't know. Love that thin means that to you. Oh, thank you, Sheila. I love that word thin. That's what I mean. I know that word thin, and I get this. I'm not obtuse here. I get that though. I use the word thin sometimes in videos, and I know it triggers certain people. But again, you got to take everything into account. Eventually I won't be able to say any words. So I do use the word thin because it means that to me, and I stand behind that word. And so I know, once I got on social media, I always say this, 20 years professionally, I've been doing this, helping people lose weight. I don't work with eating disorders. That's not what I do. And so it was very shocking getting on social media, making my videos for people that want to lose weight that don't have, I don't define it. That's kind of interesting too. How we don't really define eating disorders as overeating. We don't think of it that way usually. Right. But, yeah, the eating disorder people came at me, and I don't mean it in those ways at all. Cause I don't think just being skinny means shit. If you're a miserable person who's weighs a little, what prize do you win for that? I don't see that to be a very good goal at all. So, everything I talk about is really based in being the healthiest version of you, being the happiest version of you, having the best quality of life you can possibly have. And so the number, and just to prove the point home, let me just drive this home to you. Your goal weight can change based on life. So, I mentioned I dropped over 50 pounds 30 years ago. I maintained the same weight, except for 12 years ago, life got bonkers. I had a new baby, didn't sleep well. We moved into a house, we redid the whole thing. I run a business, and it was just crazy. I put 25 pounds on, and but I took 15 of it off, and I raised my goal weight by 10 pounds because to keep my weight where it was just took a lot more effort that I didn't want to put into it at that point. So you can change your goal weight based on life, because the goal weight, there's no number that magically makes everything amazing. You got to realize that. So you got to pick the weight based on, because again, what most people do is pick a number as if it lives in a vacuum, but you got to eat and live a certain way to achieve that number. A lot of people walking around with a weight that's too low, they're not willing to eat and live that way. Well, what's the point? So we got to take into account both sides of the equation to find the weight that gives us the best return on investment, gives the best quality of life. So all day removals and storage. What's up? How's it going? What's up, Karen? So late, but hi. Yeah, we're late. I know. I got to get out of here. Isn't binging an eating disorder too? Yeah, binge eating is, but binge eating a lot of times is associated with people that are underweight, so it's weird. I mean, again, there's a whole spectrum, obviously, of eating disorders, and there are obviously eating disorders related to being overweight, but we don't, in general, we tend to think of eating disorders as, and I find this fascinating, by the way, because we tend to think of eating disorders as being people underweight, bulimia, anorexia, things of that nature. But the vast, the 72% of the population that's overweight or obese, we don't think of them as having to eat. I'm sure it's probably defined as an eating disorder technically, but no one thinks of, when you think of eating disorder, what do you think of? And it's just, again, that's just part of we're conditioned to be overweight. They call it an obesogenic environment, and it is. It's not just the physical obesogenic environment. It's a mental, emotional, spiritual obesogenic environment in every way. So anyways. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. You guys are great as usual. Great questions. I'm glad. Thank you for joining me here. If you're not yet in my world, please go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made for you, 3 steps to master your weight, and read the emails I send you. Okay. And again, you get access to the Spark program. I give you access to that so that you can kind of get kickstarted with your weight. And yeah. And then if you're real serious, join the program and then listen to the podcast. Podcasts are made every weekday. They're all on podcast platforms. You can go check it out. It's called Program Yourself Thin. If you like it, leave a review. That helps me out. And if you don't follow me, if you're on social media and you don't follow me, what the hell? Follow me, because I'll pop up randomly, and who knows when I might be there when you need it most, right? That's my goal here. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. Have a super duper day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.